From the propeller fighters of the past to the first generation of jet combat, this is the complete catalogue of every US aircraft used in the Korean War. Let's start with the fighters that ruled the skies. Jet fighters. F-86 Sabre. The Korean War marked a new era in aerial combat with the introduction of jet-powered fighters. The F-86 Sabre became the most famous American jet of the war. This swept-wing fighter was designed to counter the Soviet MiG-15 that dominated early air battles. The Sabre featured 6.50 caliber machine guns and could reach speeds over 600 miles per hour. It saw extensive action along the Yalu River in what pilots called MiG Alley. The F-86 proved superior in dogfights due to better pilot training and hydraulic controls. American Sabre pilots achieved a kill ratio of roughly 10-1 against enemy MiGs. The aircraft's speed and maneuverability made it the backbone of US air superiority throughout the conflict. F-85 Shooting Star. The F-80 Shooting Star was America's first operational jet fighter to see combat. This straight-winged aircraft arrived in Korea at the war's beginning and flew the first jet-versus-jet combat mission in history. The F-80 carried 6 machine guns and could deliver bombs and rockets for ground attack missions. While it lacked the performance to compete with MiG-15s at high altitude, it excelled in ground support roles. The Shooting Star flew thousands of sorties attacking enemy supply lines, troop concentrations, and infrastructure. Its reliability and ease of maintenance made it valuable despite being outmatched by newer jets. The F-80 remained in service throughout the war, performing crucial close air support missions. F-84 Thunderjet. Now, let's move forward. The F-84 Thunderjet served as both a fighter and fighter-bomber during the Korean conflict. This straight-wing jet could carry a heavy bomb load while maintaining decent speed and range. The aircraft featured 6.50 caliber guns and could deliver up to 4,000 pounds of ordnance. F-84s flew deep interdiction missions into North Korea, targeting bridges, railroads, and supply depots. The Thunderjet proved particularly effective at destroying enemy infrastructure, despite facing heavy anti-aircraft fire. Its rugged construction allowed it to absorb battle damage and return home. More F-84s were lost to ground fire than any other US jet due to their low-altitude attack missions. F-94 Starfire. The F-94 Starfire was an all-weather interceptor designed to protect against enemy bombers. This two-seat jet featured radar equipment and could operate at night or in poor visibility conditions. The aircraft carried rockets and machine guns for engaging enemy aircraft. While North Korea had limited bomber capability, the F-94 flew defensive patrols protecting American bases and formations. The Starfire's radar allowed it to detect and track enemy aircraft in conditions where other fighters were blind. Its role was primarily defensive, ensuring air superiority during hours of darkness. The aircraft proved the value of radar-equipped interceptors in modern warfare. F-9F Panther. The F-9F Panther was the US Navy's primary jet fighter during the Korean War. This carrier-based aircraft featured straight wings and 4 20mm cannons for air combat. The Panther could also carry bombs and rockets for ground attack missions against coastal targets. Navy pilots flew Panthers from aircraft carriers in the Sea of Japan, supporting Marine and Army operations ashore. The jet proved reliable and easy to handle during carrier operations, which was critical for naval aviation. While not as fast as the F-86, the Panther served effectively in both air-to-air and air-to-ground roles. Its versatility made it invaluable for carrier-based operations throughout the war. F-2H Banshee. The F-2H Banshee was another carrier-based jet fighter used by the Navy and Marines. This twin-engine aircraft offered better range and payload capacity than single-engine fighters. The Banshee carried 4 20mm cannons and could deliver significant bomb loads during strike missions. It flew reconnaissance missions deep into enemy territory using camera equipment. The aircraft's range allowed it to reach targets far inland from carrier positions at sea. F-2H pilots conducted photo reconnaissance missions that provided vital intelligence on enemy positions and movements. The Banshee's reliability and extended range made it essential for naval strike operations. F-7U Cutlass. The F-7U Cutlass had a unique tailless design, but saw limited combat service in Korea. This carrier-based fighter featured swept wings and advanced aerodynamics for its time. The aircraft experienced numerous technical problems and handling difficulties during development. Only a small number reached operational units before the war ended. The Cutlass carried 4 20mm cannons but was primarily used for evaluation rather than combat. Its advanced design concepts influenced future aircraft development, despite operational challenges. The F-7U represented experimental technology that was not yet fully mature for combat conditions. F-3D Skynight. The F-3D Skynight was a twin-engine night fighter designed for all-weather operations. This radar-equipped aircraft could detect and engage enemy planes in total darkness. The Skynight carried 4 20mm cannons and operated from both land bases and aircraft carriers. Marine port crews flew this aircraft on night interdiction missions over North Korea. The F-3D achieved several night kills against enemy aircraft, including some MiG-15s. Its radar systems gave American forces capability to control the night skies. The Skynight proved that specialized night fighters remained valuable despite the advent of jet technology. F-9F Cougar. The F-9F Cougar was an improved version of the Panther with swept wings for better performance. This carrier-based fighter arrived late in the Korean War with enhanced speed and maneuverability. The aircraft retained the Panther's 4 20mm cannons and ground attack capability. Few Cougars saw actual combat before the armistice ended major fighting. The swept-wing design allowed it to compete better with enemy jets at high speeds. Navy pilots appreciated its improved handling characteristics compared to the straight-wing Panther. The Cougar represented the evolution of carrier-based jet fighters during this transitional period. F-51 Mustang. Finally, the F-51 Mustang was a propeller-driven World War II fighter pressed back into combat service. This legendary aircraft proved ideal for close air support missions, despite being obsolete for air combat. The Mustang carried 6.50 caliber guns and could deliver bombs, rockets, and napalm against ground targets. Its long range and ability to operate from rough airfields made it valuable for supporting ground troops. 51s flew thousands of sorties attacking enemy positions, supply lines, and troop concentrations. The aircraft could loiter over battlefields longer than jets, providing extended support to soldiers below. While vulnerable to ground fire, the Mustang remained effective throughout the war in the ground attack role. Bombers. B-29 Super Fortress. American bomber aircraft delivered devastating firepower against strategic and tactical targets throughout Korea. The B-29 Super Fortress was the largest bomber used in the conflict, and the same type that ended World War II. This 4-engine heavy bomber could carry up to 20,000 pounds of bombs deep into enemy territory. B-29s conducted strategic bombing campaigns against North Korean industrial targets, bridges, and transportation networks. The aircraft flew at high altitude where most anti-aircraft guns could not reach them effectively. Super Fortress formations destroyed numerous critical bridges crossing the Yalu River and other major waterways. Communist MiG-15 fighters posed a serious threat, forcing B-29s to conduct many missions at night. The bomber's defensive armament of machine guns provided some protection against fighter attacks. B-26 Invader. The B-26 Invader was a twin-engine medium bomber that excelled at night interdiction missions. This aircraft carried up to 6,000 pounds of bombs and featured multiple machine guns for strafing runs. B-26 crews hunted enemy supply trucks moving along roads under cover of darkness. The Invader could fly low and slow, allowing crews to spot and attack targets more effectively than faster jets. Its ability to carry bombs, rockets, and guns made it extremely versatile for various missions. The aircraft attacked enemy airfields, destroying planes on the ground before they could take off. B-26s also provided close air support for ground troops during daylight hours when needed. B-45 Tornado. Moving on, the D-45 Tornado was America's first operational jet bomber to see combat. This 4-engine aircraft could fly faster and higher than propeller-driven bombers, while carrying similar payloads. The B-45 conducted reconnaissance missions over North Korea, using specialized camera equipment. Its speed allowed it to penetrate enemy airspace and escape before interceptors could respond effectively. The Tornado flew strategic bombing missions against industrial and military targets in enemy territory. While not produced in large numbers, it demonstrated the potential of jet bomber technology. The aircraft proved that jet propulsion offered significant advantages for bombing operations, despite higher fuel consumption. B-50 Super Fortress. The B-50 Super Fortress was an improved version of the B-29, with more powerful engines. This heavy bomber saw limited use in Korea, primarily flying from bases outside the combat zone. The aircraft conducted long-range reconnaissance missions, gathering intelligence on enemy activities and positions. B-50s also participated in psychological warfare operations, dropping propaganda leaflets over enemy territory. The bomber's extended range allowed it to reach any target in the Korean peninsula. While less common than the B-29, it provided additional heavy bombing capability when needed. The B-50 represented incremental improvements to proven World War II bomber designs. A-26 Invader. The A-26 Invader served alongside the B-26 in similar roles, despite the confusing designation. This attack bomber featured a sleek design and heavy armament for ground attack missions. The aircraft could carry bombs internally and externally, while also mounting multiple forward-firing guns. A-26 pilots conducted interdiction missions against enemy supply lines and transportation networks. The bomber attacked bridges, railroads, and vehicles moving supplies to the front lines. Its speed and firepower made it effective against both hard and soft targets. The A-26 proved that World War II-era designs could still be effective in the jet age. RB-45 Tornado. Let's continue. The RB-45 Tornado was a reconnaissance variant equipped with cameras instead of bombs. This jet aircraft flew dangerous missions deep into enemy territory, photographing targets and troop movements. The RB-45's speed and altitude capability made it difficult for enemy fighters to intercept successfully. Photo intelligence gathered by these aircraft helped plan bombing missions and track enemy activities. Crews operated at extreme risk, often flying alone without fighter escort over hostile territory. The reconnaissance variant proved essential for gathering timely intelligence, despite the dangers involved. These missions provided commanders with critical information for planning offensive operations. PB-4Y Privateer. The PB-4Y Privateer was a Navy patrol bomber used for maritime surveillance and mining operations. This four-engine aircraft conducted long-range patrols over coastal waters, watching for enemy vessels and submarines. Privateers dropped naval mines in enemy harbors and shipping channels to restrict their maritime activities. The aircraft could carry a heavy load of mines or depth charges for anti-submarine warfare. Navy crews flew these missions from bases in Japan, covering vast areas of ocean. The privateer's extended range allowed it to patrol far from friendly bases for hours. While not glamorous work, these operations helped maintain naval superiority around the Korean peninsula. PB-4Y-2. The PB-4Y-2 was a modified version of the privateer, with improved performance and equipment. This patrol bomber conducted electronic warfare missions, intercepting enemy radio communications and radar signals. The aircraft gathered intelligence on enemy air defense systems and communication networks. Crews operated sophisticated equipment to monitor and record enemy electronic emissions during their patrol missions. This intelligence helped planners understand enemy capabilities and develop countermeasures. The PB-4Y flew long, boring missions that were nonetheless critical for overall intelligence gathering efforts. Electronic warfare would become increasingly important in future conflicts, and these aircraft pioneered such operations. Douglas A-20 Havoc. The Douglas A-20 Havoc saw limited service during the early months of the Korean War. This twin-engine light bomber was already obsolete, but available in theater when fighting began. The aircraft carried bombs and guns for ground attack missions against enemy positions. A-20 Sebs flew close air support missions until more modern aircraft arrived in sufficient numbers. The Havoc was quickly phased out as jets and newer designs became available. Its brief service demonstrated how unprepared American forces were at the war's outbreak. The aircraft represented older technology that had served well in World War II, but was no longer adequate. B-57 Canberra. Finally, the B-57 Canberra was a British-designed bomber produced under license in America. This jet aircraft arrived too late to see significant combat in Korea before the armistice. The B-57 featured twin engines and could carry bombs internally for higher speeds. Its high-altitude capability and speed made it effective for both tactical and strategic bombing missions. The few aircraft that reached Korea conducted evaluation missions and limited combat operations. The Canberra represented the next generation of tactical jet bombers. While it saw little action in Korea, the design would prove valuable in future conflicts. Attack and ground support aircraft. F-51 Mustang. Close air support aircraft provided critical firepower, directly supporting soldiers on the ground during battles. The F-51 Mustang excelled in this role, despite being designed as a fighter in World War II. This propeller aircraft could carry rockets, bombs, and napalm, while strafing with 6 machine guns. Mustang pilots worked closely with forward air controllers who directed strikes against enemy positions near friendly troops. The aircraft could respond quickly to calls for support and attack targets with precision. Its ability to fly low and slow allowed pilots to identify targets more easily than high-speed jets. F-51s destroyed enemy bunkers, artillery positions, and troop concentrations threatening ground forces. The Mustang's effectiveness in close air support extended its combat career years beyond expectations. F-4U Corsair. The F-4U Corsair was a Navy and Marine Corps fighter that proved exceptional at ground attack. This powerful propeller aircraft carried bombs, rockets, and napalm, in addition to machine guns and cannons. Marine pilots flying from escort carriers and land bases provided direct support to troops fighting below. The Corsair's ruggedness allowed it to absorb ground-fire damage and continue flying missions. Its heavy armament could destroy hardened bunkers and fortified positions that resisted other weapons. F-4U pilots developed expertise in close air support through constant practice working with ground units. The aircraft remained in production during the war, with new examples replacing combat losses. The Corsair proved more effective than many jets for precise attacks on tactical targets. AD Skyraider. Now moving forward, the AD Skyraider was specifically designed as an attack aircraft for carrier operations. This single-engine propeller plane could carry an enormous bomb load rivaling much larger aircraft. The Skyraider featured armor protection and could absorb heavy battle damage while continuing its mission. Navy and Marine pilots flew these aircraft from carriers, providing support along coastal areas. The plane carried everything from bombs and rockets to torpedoes depending on the mission requirements. Its long loiter time allowed it to remain over battlefields, providing extended support. AD pilots conducted interdiction missions deep into North Korea attack. F-80 Shooting Star. The F-80 Shooting Star transitioned from fighter to ground attack role as faster jets arrived. This straight-wing jet carried bombs, rockets, and napalm for strikes against enemy ground targets. F-80 pilots flew countless close air support missions despite the aircraft's vulnerability to ground fire. The jet's speed allowed it to attack and escape quickly, though this made target identification more difficult. Shooting Stars destroyed enemy artillery positions, supply depots, and troop concentrations throughout the war. Pilots developed tactics for dive bombing and strafing runs that maximized effectiveness while minimizing exposure. The aircraft proved that jets could perform ground attack missions, despite being less ideal than specialized propeller designs. F-84 Thunderjet. The F-84 Thunderjet became one of the most important ground attack aircraft of the war. This jet fighter bomber carried heavy bomb loads while maintaining reasonable speed and range for deep strikes. F-84 pilots conducted interdiction missions, attacking railroads, bridges, and supply routes behind enemy lines. The aircraft could deliver bombs, rockets, and napalm with good accuracy, using dive bombing techniques. Thunderjets faced intense anti-aircraft fire during low-altitude attacks, but proved capable of surviving hits. The jet's range allowed it to reach targets throughout North Korea from bases in South Korea. 58 falls destroyed countless bridges, forcing enemies to use temporary crossings vulnerable to further attack. F-9 F-Panther. Let's proceed. The F-9 F-Panther conducted ground attack missions when not engaged in air combat operations. This carrier-based jet could deliver bombs and rockets against targets along Korea's coastline. Panther pilots supported amphibious landings and coastal operations with precise strikes on defensive positions. The aircraft's 4 cannons provided devastating firepower during strafing runs against enemy troops and vehicles. Navy pilots coordinated closely with Marine ground forces, providing immediate response to support requests. The Panther's reliability and carrier compatibility made it essential for naval air operations. While primarily a fighter, its ground attack capability proved equally valuable throughout the conflict. AU-1 Corsair. The AU-1 Corsair was a specialized ground attack version of the F-4U, designed specifically for close air support. This variant featured armor plating, protecting the pilot and vital systems from ground fire. The aircraft carried heavier bomb loads and additional ammunition for its cannons, compared to fighter versions. Marine pilots flew AU-1s from forward airfields close to the front lines for rapid response. The specialized Corsair attacked enemy positions directly threatening Marine units engaged in combat. Its armor protection proved essential when flying repeated missions through intense anti-aircraft fire. The AU-1 demonstrated the value of purpose-built ground attack aircraft versus adapted fighters. A-1 Skyraider. The A-1 Skyraider was another designation for the AD series in its attack configuration. This versatile aircraft carried such varied weaponry that pilots called it the ultimate weapons platform. Skyraiders dropped conventional bombs, napalm, torpedoes, mines, and even experimental weapons during the war. The aircraft's sturdy construction and redundant systems allowed it to sustain major damage and return home. Pilots appreciated its long endurance, which meant extended time supporting troops in contact with enemy forces. The A-1 could operate from rough forward airstrips, bringing its firepower close to the battlefield. This legendary aircraft proved that propeller-driven designs retained advantages even in the jet age. F-7F Tigercat. The F-7F Tigercat was a twin-engine fighter used by the Marines for ground attack missions. This powerful aircraft carried heavy armament including cannons, bombs, and rockets for strikes against ground targets. The Tigercat's speed and firepower made it effective for interdiction missions against enemy supply lines. Marine squadrons operated these aircraft from land bases in Korea and Japan. While not as common as other types, the F-7F provided additional attack capability when available. Its twin engines offered extra safety when operating over hostile territory far from friendly forces. The aircraft represented the peak of propeller fighter development before jets completely dominated. F-6F Hellcat. Finally, the F-6F Hellcat was a World War II fighter that saw limited early service in Korea. This carrier-based aircraft conducted ground attack missions during the war's opening months. The Hellcat carried bombs and rockets, while retaining 6 machine guns for strafing enemy positions. Navy reserve squadrons flew these older aircraft until more modern types became available in sufficient numbers. The F-6F's ruggedness and reliability served well in the attack role, despite being obsolete for air combat. Its brief Korean service demonstrated how unprepared US forces were when the war suddenly began. The Hellcat was quickly replaced by more capable aircraft as production ramped up. Reconnaissance and observation aircraft. RF-80, intelligence gathering through aerial reconnaissance, provided crucial information for planning operations and understanding enemy movements. The RF-80 was a photo reconnaissance version of the Shooting Star fighter, equipped with cameras instead of guns. This jet aircraft flew high-speed missions over enemy territory, photographing targets and troop positions. The RF-80's speed and altitude capability made it difficult for enemy fighters to intercept successfully. Pilots flew alone without armament, relying entirely on speed for survival over hostile territory. Photos taken by these aircraft helped identify targets for bombing missions and tracked battle damage results. The reconnaissance jet could cover vast areas quickly, providing timely intelligence to commanders. RF-80s flew dangerous missions daily throughout the war, despite their vulnerability. RF-51 Mustang. The RF-51 Mustang conducted low-level photo reconnaissance missions, using cameras mounted in the fighter's fuselage. This propeller aircraft could fly slowly enough for detailed photography of enemy positions and fortifications. RF-51 pilots operated at treetop level to avoid radar detection and anti-aircraft fire. The aircraft's range allowed deep penetration missions far behind enemy lines, gathering critical intelligence. While defenseless without armament, the Mustang's speed at low altitude provided some protection. Photos from RF-51 missions helped identify enemy bunkers, artillery positions, and supply concentrations. These reconnaissance aircraft often drew enemy fire, making their missions extremely dangerous. The converted fighter proved ideal for tactical reconnaissance, supporting ground operations. RB-26 Invader. Now let's look at others. The RB-26 Invader was a reconnaissance variant of the bomber, equipped with cameras and electronic sensors. This twin-engine aircraft conducted night photography missions using specialized flash equipment. The RB-26 could photograph targets in total darkness, revealing enemy movements hidden from daylight reconnaissance. Crews operated sophisticated equipment to capture detail images despite challenging conditions. These night reconnaissance missions provided intelligence on enemy supply movements along roads and railways. The aircraft's range allowed it to patrol deep into North Korea throughout the night. Photos revealed which routes enemies used for transportation, directing interdiction missions to critical choke points. RB-29 Superfortress. The RB-29 Superfortress conducted strategic reconnaissance missions over North Korea and beyond. This heavy bomber variant carried extensive camera equipment for high-altitude photography. The RB-29 could photograph vast areas in a single mission due to its size and capacity. Strategic intelligence gathered by these aircraft helped understand enemy industrial capacity and infrastructure. Some missions extended beyond Korean borders, gathering intelligence on Chinese and Soviet facilities. The aircraft's defensive armament provided protection against fighter attacks during reconnaissance missions. RB-29 crews faced significant risks, flying deep into enemy territory, alone and unescorted. The strategic intelligence proved invaluable for planning long-term military operations. RB-45 Tornado. The RB-45 Tornado represented the first jet reconnaissance bomber to see combat operations. This four-engine aircraft combined speed with sophisticated camera equipment for intelligence gathering. The RB-45 could penetrate defended airspace faster than propeller aircraft, increasing survival chances. Photo interpreters analyzed images from these missions to assess enemy strength and capabilities. The jet's high-altitude capability allowed photography from above most anti-aircraft defenses. These reconnaissance missions provided critical early warning of enemy buildups and movements. The RB-45 proved jet propulsion offered significant advantages for reconnaissance operations, despite fuel limitations. L-19 Bird Dog. Continuing forward, the L-19 Bird Dog was a small observation aircraft that worked directly with ground forces. This high-wing monoplane carried an observer who directed artillery fire and called in airstrikes. The O-19 could operate from rough forward airstrips very close to frontline positions. Observers spotted enemy positions and relayed coordinates to supporting artillery and aircraft. The aircraft's slow speed and excellent visibility made it ideal for observing battlefields. Bird Dog pilots flew low over enemy territory, despite having no armor or armament for protection. These observation missions helped ground commanders understand enemy dispositions and movements. The L-19 proved essential for coordinating combined arms operations throughout the war. T-6 Texan. The T-6 Texan was a training aircraft adapted for forward air controller duties. This two-seat propeller plane marked targets with smoke rockets for attacking aircraft to strike. FAC pilots in T-6 seconds coordinated close air support missions, directing fighter bombers against specific targets. The aircraft could loiter over battlefields, providing extended on-station time for managing airstrikes. Texan pilots developed expertise, identifying targets and communicating precisely with attacking pilots. While lacking armor or defensive weapons, the T-6 remained vulnerable to ground fire. These forward air controllers prevented friendly fire incidents by clearly marking targets. The adapted trainer proved surprisingly effective in this critical coordination role. L-17 Navion. The L-17 Navion was a light liaison aircraft used for observation and transport duties. This small civilian design served for moving personnel and light cargo between forward bases. The aircraft conducted some observation missions when other types were unavailable. Its simplicity and ease of maintenance made it useful despite limited military capabilities. The L-17 could land on short, rough fields, bringing supplies to isolated outposts. While not purpose-built for military service, it filled gaps in observation and liaison roles. The Navion represented civilian aircraft pressed into military service during wartime expansion. L-5 Sentinel. The L-5 Sentinel was an older observation aircraft that saw early service in Korea. This high-wing monoplane served in World War II and remained available when fighting began. The L-5 conducted observation missions and artillery spotting during the war's first months. Its slow speed and good visibility suited it for observing enemy positions and directing fire. The aircraft was gradually replaced by more capable types as newer designs arrived. The Sentinel's presence demonstrated the limited preparation for major conflict in 1950. While obsolete, it served adequately until better-equipped aircraft took over observation duties. O-1 Bird Dog. Finally, the O-1 Bird Dog was an improved designation for the L-19 used by the Army. This observation aircraft continued the same missions under updated nomenclature. The O-1 worked closely with ground forces, spotting targets and directing artillery fire. Forward air controllers, flying bird dogs, coordinated thousands of close air support missions. The aircraft's simplicity and reliability made it ideal for operating from primitive forward airstrips. Pilots and observers developed exceptional skill at identifying camouflaged enemy positions. The O-1 remained in service throughout the war and for many years afterward. This unassuming aircraft proved absolutely essential for effective combined arms operations. Transport and support. Aircraft, C-54, Skymaster. The military transport aircraft moved troops, supplies, and wounded soldiers throughout the theater of operations. The C-54 Skymaster was a four-engine transport derived from the civilian DC-4 airliner. This large aircraft carried cargo and personnel between Japan and Korea across the Sea of Japan. C-15s evacuated wounded soldiers from Korean airfields to hospitals in Japan, where better medical care was available. The aircraft could carry dozens of troops, or equivalent cargo rate, on each mission. Transport squadrons operated around the clock, maintaining the supply pipeline supporting combat operations. The Skymaster's reliability and capacity make it the workhorse of strategic airlift throughout the war. Medical evacuation flights saved countless lives by rapidly moving wounded to proper treatment facilities. C-119 Flying Boxcar. The C-119 Flying Boxcar was a twin-engine transport with distinctive twin-boom design. This aircraft could carry bulky cargo and vehicles through its rear loading ramp. The C-119 conducted tactical airlift missions, delivering supplies directly to forward airstrips near combat zones. Paratroopers jumped from these aircraft during airborne operations behind enemy lines. The flying boxcar could airdrop supplies to surrounded units unable to receive ground resupply. Its versatility made it valuable for various transport missions requiring heavy cargo capability. The distinctive design proved effective despite unconventional appearance compared to traditional transports. C-46 Commando. Moving to the next. The C-46 Commando was a twin-engine transport used extensively for tactical airlift operations. This rugged aircraft could operate from rough, unimproved airstrips close to the front lines. C-46s carried ammunition, food, and equipment to forward units operating far from major supply bases. The aircraft evacuated wounded soldiers from forward airstrips back to rear area hospitals. Its ability to handle rough field conditions made it ideal for supporting mobile ground operations. Transport crews flew multiple missions daily, keeping supplies flowing to units in combat. The Commando proved its worth through reliable service under difficult conditions throughout the war. C-47 Skytrain. The C-47 Skytrain was the military version of the legendary DC-3 airliner. This twin-engine transport served in every theater of World War II and continued in Korea. The C-47 carried supplies, personnel, and wounded soldiers, despite being the smallest of the main transports. Its simplicity and reliability made it easy to maintain, even at primitive forward airfields. Skytrains conducted countless missions, moving supplies and evacuating casualties throughout the conflict. The aircraft could operate from short, rough strips where larger transports could not land safely. While smaller than newer types, the C-47 remained valuable due to availability and proven reliability. C-124 Globemaster. The C-124 Globemaster was a massive four-engine transport capable of carrying very heavy cargo. This double-deck aircraft could transport large vehicles, artillery pieces, and heavy equipment. The C-124 moved strategic cargo from the United States to Japan and Korea. Its capacity exceeded other transports, allowing efficient movement of bulky items. The Globemaster conducted medical evacuation missions carrying large numbers of wounded on its upper deck. While too large for forward airstrips, it proved essential for strategic airlift operations. The aircraft represented the cutting edge of heavy transport capability during the early 1950s. SA-16 Albatross. Let's move ahead. The SA-16 Albatross was an amphibious aircraft designed for air-sea rescue operations. This twin-engine plane could land on water to rescue downed pilots from the ocean. Air Force and Coast Guard crews flew rescue missions, recovering pilots shot down over water. The Albatross carried medical equipment and could provide treatment while flying to hospitals. Its amphibious capability allowed operation from either airfields or sheltered harbors as missions required. Rescue crews saved dozens of pilots who would have otherwise perished in cold Korean waters. The aircraft proved essential for maintaining pilot morale, knowing rescue capability existed if needed. H-5 Helicopter. The H-5 helicopter was an early rotary-wing aircraft used extensively for medical evacuation. This small helicopter could land in confined areas near battlefields to pick up wounded soldiers. Medical evacuation by helicopter saved countless lives by rapidly transporting wounded to surgical hospitals. The H-5 could reach casualties in locations impossible for fixed-wing aircraft to access. Its ability to hover and land vertically revolutionized battlefield medicine and casualty evacuation. Helicopter pilots flew dangerous missions under fire to rescue wounded soldiers. The H-5 demonstrated helicopters' potential for military operations beyond what anyone previously imagined. H-19 Chickasaw. The H-19 Chickasaw was a larger helicopter capable of carrying more troops or cargo. This rotary-wing aircraft conducted assault missions, inserting troops into combat zones. The H-19 could transport small groups of soldiers directly to battle areas without requiring landing strips. Its larger size allowed evacuation of multiple wounded simultaneously, rather than one at a time. Helicopter transport units pioneered tactics for air assault operations, later perfected in future conflicts. The Chickasaw proved rotary-wing aircraft could perform tactical transport missions, complementing fixed-wing transports. These helicopters represented emerging technology that would transform military operations. H-13 Sioux. The H-13 Sioux was a small observation helicopter used for reconnaissance and medical evacuation. This lightweight rotorcraft carried a pilot and one or two passengers, depending on configuration. The H-13 conducted observation missions, providing commanders with aerial views of battlefields. Medical evacuation variants carried wounded strapped to external knitters on the helicopter's skids. Its small size allowed operation from tiny clearings near frontline positions. The Sioux demonstrated helicopters' versatility for various missions beyond just transport duties. These small helicopters proved their worth despite limited capabilities compared to larger types. H-03S helicopter. Finally, the H-03S helicopter was a Navy and Marine Corps version used aboard ships and at forward bases. This small rotorcraft conducted plane guard duties, recovering pilots who crashed near aircraft carriers. Marine squadrons used H-03S helicopters for observation and light transport missions. The aircraft could operate from small platforms on ships, lacking full flight decks. Its compact size made it suitable for operating in confined spaces aboard vessels. Navy crews conducted search and rescue missions, recovering downed pilots from the ocean. The H-03S proved helicopters could operate effectively in maritime environments supporting naval operations. From the legendary Sabre to the pioneering helicopters that changed warfare forever, these were the aircraft that fought in the skies over Korea. If you enjoyed this complete catalog, hit the like button and subscribe for more military history content.